Hello, and welcome to the Innovia Conversation. I'm Steve Waltz.
And I'm Jeff Pergolski.
And Jeff, today on this Victory Tuesday, woohoo, how about them Bears, baby, going into New England, putting a big hurt on. I'm sorry, we're not here to talk about my beloved, so I'll get refocused here.
Yeah. What are we talking about today? And who is this guy that we've got on the call?
Well, I'm pretty excited. We have one of our longtime customers. We have Tony Darden with us from Caplugs. Welcome, Tony.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Pleasure.
And Jeff, so we're at the Doug meeting, and Tony walks up to me and goes, I didn't know you had a podcast.
Yeah, that's like that. That's 99.99999% of the planet doesn't know we have a podcast, but every week we add at least one or two cousins or someone that hasn't. So, we're happy to welcome you into the family, Tony, and yeah. So let's tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been a Microsoft guy? I know that in terms of let's just start there. How long have you been like in the Microsoft Dynamics world?
So I've been with Caplugs for December 4th will be my 10-year anniversary. And I never, when I learned that they were using Navision, my first question was, well, what is that? So I came in cold into the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem. I mean, I was familiar with Office and Exchange for email. It seemed to be table stakes everywhere as far as exposure to different businesses and their tools. But as far as Microsoft as an ERP provider, yeah, that just getting ready to hit the 10-year mark for that. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, for some reason, I thought that like you were a multi-decade Dynamics guy, but it's you've actually moved fast up the ranks in terms of expertise, and I know that we've valued a lot of the projects that we've done with you. So I guess maybe I should have started with do you want to share a little bit about what your company does and sort of how then after that as a follow-up, sort of how you use Dynamics in that space? Because you use more than just NAV or BC, right?
We do. But as far as our company, so we're in the business of product protection, very broad statement that covers over 50,000 unique SKUs in that subject matter. For example, popular one you can see if you're going down the highway and you see a steel hauler with a bunch of pipe on the back. You might notice a colored thread protector that's on the end of that cap. That's one example of products we provide. In the aerospace industry, we'll provide custom masking that goes over the windows and the chrome fittings that withstand the pressures of sandblasting and painting. It's just a really, really unique business spanning automotive and aerospace and energy and medical. And it's been an incredible ride. And when I joined the company, we were just had footprints in Asia and in the U.S. And now we're in Europe, Australia, Canada, Mexico. Like I said, it's been a tremendous ride. And so with that comes our use of the Microsoft technology. Like I said, when I joined the company, we were using Navision version 3.7, and we since moved from 2013 to 2018, and now Business Central SaaS. And we're starting internationally with that deployment and starting to get pretty experienced. And I wouldn't say we're 100% mature in that environment, but certainly exciting and one that we're committed to using. But we also use Dynamics for sales and customer service for CRM, Office 365, of course. And then Power Platform is something that we're excited to be using soon too.
So Tony, how has things changed since you started, right? You're CIO, and you said you had over in Asia, was it? You had another division. Now you have, I don't know how many divisions you have, but
yeah.
Making that all work all over the world. I mean, what kind of challenges has that put on you over the last several years?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think I like to frame myself as that I'm not necessarily in the IT business, but rather in the people business of those that do IT. And I say that because one of the main challenges we have with this type of expansion and acquisition growth is user adoption and change management. What we find is, especially in these smaller shops, that change resistance is front and center, and I think we can all relate to that, right? But for a company growing at our speed and it just seems like you just get settled in on one acquisition and the next one's on its heels. It's a delicate balance of getting the job done, but also getting that user adoption, because that's so key to success. So I would say I spend half my time on sitting with employees, sitting with former owners, sitting with department leaders, walking them through our process, explaining, in some cases, how a very capable system that they're using is going to change just to be part of this global ecosystem that we've been building out.
Yeah, when you said change management, we deal with that all the time, right? And so you're acquiring companies; they're on a different system, and you're trying to get to one. So I'm kind of interested to kind of hear how the change management. Have you adopted any certain change management system at all, or just really adopted to where on your own on how to get people to buy in?
Yeah, that's a good question. We haven't systematized that, if that's the right word. Even a word. It's more of the personal touch, which I put a lot of weight in. So that means you got to be in front of people, not just a video representation of myself. I want to shake hands, see the whites of eyes of folks that I'm dealing with, and really understand their current system, their current process, because I've certainly stumbled along the way. But that's how you grow, right? So, and I hope there's more mistakes to be had, because all the better that you come out on the other end. But some of our early mistakes were getting right into implementation mode and how our process will fit in, without a as good as understanding of their current process as we should have had. So, I mean, to me, the interpretation from those that we fumbled on, there was just, in their minds, a complete lack of empathy or understanding of that business process that they're using, why they use it, and how it can potentially fit into our way of running an organization and using their systems. So we certainly shift and commit more time on that discovery, on that understanding, and just general conversation with the stakeholders, because it goes a long way.
That's great information, and we hear a lot from either new customers, clients coming over, or people that are getting ready to put on a big project, right? Because there's the fear of no one likes the old system until you decide to go to the new one. Then the old one wasn't so bad, right? And it's right. Having those conversations. Trying to make everybody fit in a box doesn't usually go well. You try to build the box around them, right?
That's right. And that box keeps changing. So our first Business Central implementation was in the Netherlands, and the concept is we designed this core template. Because think of Business Central. If I look at the sister product in the Microsoft stack, that's F&O, and F&O comes with add-ons baked in, with localizations baked in. I mean, it's nice in theory. You have this product you roll out, and then it doesn't matter what country you're in, it can blend in. We took a little different approach. We were committed to Business Central. We liked what it had to offer. Certainly, from a budgetary standpoint, made sense. But we weren't going to skimp on a system for the sake of cash. It had to be the right fit for the operation. So if I shortcut that whole discovery process and right to the point that we're using Business Central, we had this concept of a core template. So we're going to implement the Netherlands, and from there, the next country will adopt that template, and maybe we add to it, we refine it. The point is we keep it nimble. We definitely keep an open mind. And so now we're 5 locations in, and this core template has grown to something that we feel, I mean, aspirationally, you get to a point where that next acquisition or that next position you on board, there's nothing you have to change because you've seen it all, right? We haven't reached that seen it all moment yet, but that's what we aspire to, and it's been it's been fun.
So Jeff, I take it you've done a lot of licensing for Caplugs.
Yeah, I would say that's one of our interesting customers from a licensing perspective, certainly, as we have maybe scrambled to keep up with Microsoft and understand how to how Caplugs gets the most for their licensing dollar.
Jeff, I don't know how you keep that under control, though. I mean, if you look at the license list, it's hieroglyphics. I don't even think Microsoft understands what's on that license list. But you've done a great job of helping us maximize our value and finding waste, because there's stuff there that in that SaaS world you got to be careful, right? You get these subscriptions and you're just accustomed to paying them, but anything that kind of has gone to the graveyard just doesn't automatically drop off. Someone has to keep eyes on that, and you've really helped us out in that capacity.
Yeah, well, that is good to hear. As we are just receiving what the next Bridge to the Cloud 2 program from Microsoft. They're making changes to the initial Bridge to the Cloud, which came out after the one of the programs that you took advantage of, the annual enhancement to CSP conversion. Yep. So it's a constantly moving target, but that was I would say that certainly we appreciate the partnership because it is a big investment and a big commitment for an organization of your size to partner up with us and then Microsoft and all of us. I think it does take, probably similar to your project implementation methodology about being nimble and like always looking at ways that you can make improvements and whether it's adding software through the other Dynamics products like D365 for sales, always trying to leverage the investment that you've made in Microsoft to get more. So I would, as I listen to you talk about the implementation project, so since most organizations, at least that we deal with, are maybe a single entity, as you look at and you think back to some of the projects going from, if it was 3.7 directly to 2013 and then 2013 to 2018, what do you have any lessons learned or recommendations about how to make what is at times a really frustrating project into smooth out some of those bumps? Are there things from an end user perspective that you can recommend that maybe Innovia as a partner might not think of, or things that you've learned over the course of those? Because both of those projects were done under your watch, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I start, if I rewind back all the way, I hear people and companies say that, well, we're gonna when we move to this version, we're gonna use the base functionality. Okay, we're done with customizations, modifications. We're just gonna, now anybody who's tried to print a check out of Navision and Business Central stock functionality, you're going to regret saying that. It's my contention is the systems are meant to be modified for your business. That doesn't mean you go wild west. Our environment has close to 3,000 customizations, but we're down, at least 1,000 since the last version we were on. So not the best example to give here, but the point is, I believe systems are meant to be customized. I like the aspirational comment of using the base functionality, but I don't think that's reality. And to be honest, Microsoft's commitment to extensions, to me, is puts the cherry on top on that comment. It's the extensions are a method to modify a system outside of the base functionality. So, but anyway, lessons learned. I think you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, right? So make sure you're listening to those different department folks. Find your power users in each department and make sure that you understand what these pain points are, because you want to factor those in on the next upgrade. I do think challenging folks in different departments against what they're doing today and considering how to improve that process is important, because one thing that we fell into a trap of, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but it happens, is you get folks that are just so used to doing things the way they were, that even the suggestion of a minor change could be considered a monumental event to that person. So you just got to be mindful of that and just constantly be working with them on what you're coining as an improvement. But unless they feel it or see it, that's a tough journey.
Great. Well, that's I think that sort of leads me into the next question about because you have certainly helped out the community great by participating in user groups and so do you feel like that's a crucial part of your investment in Microsoft technology, or is it just a nice to have?
I think it's crucial. It's very easy, especially these days. Anybody you talk to in your peer groups and other businesses, how's it going? Well, it's crazy. I mean, we're busy, and so that sense of being overwhelmed, I think, is kind of our new norm. I don't know if that's necessarily a COVID thing, but there's that constant lean mentality of doing more or the same with less, and that's just business these days. But so where I was going with that is you're in this bubble. So I know the Caplugs process, the Caplugs users, Caplugs way of doing things. That doesn't mean it's the best. There's certainly things I don't know. And no offense to Innovia, I can't always reach out to you guys and ask for help. And we want to be self-sufficient on some level, but also have greater exposure to others, that other nav users, Business Central users that have the same pains that we go through. Maybe they're trying to fight through a similar challenge. Maybe they've conquered that challenge, which makes that conversation very interesting for me. So I kind of know what to expect. User group communities, that's that vessel that gets you there. And shortly after I joined Caplugs, Tom Dorn, my account rep at Innovia, exposed me to DCI, Dynamic Communities. And I signed up. Within a short period of time, I joined their board of advisors. And then my responsibility was local chapter groups. And so I formed the Great Lakes chapter out of Cleveland. And so I jumped in the deep end of the pool because all that happened in a short amount of time. But it gave me that exposure, that peer group. User groups are nice just for a place to vent. You tend to have these frustrations, and I talk about user adoption earlier, just for someone to listen and empathize with, I think is also therapeutic for me anyway. But these user groups, to me, are a great way to bring folks together, collaborate on all things related to your environment, and the ideas that come out of that, I think are tremendous.
And I remember that was the first time I met you. I was at Cleveland had some great venues there, and I can't help but think when he was talking about that, Jeff, that toboggan run.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm still scarred. So it's a cement track, and we had. I mean, Steve, we had so many venues. So and you're a big baseball guy, so we were at the Guardians. They're the Indians to me, but we were at the Guardian Stadium. We got to pick up the red phone for the bullpen. We're on the field. We made this user group was fun, and I miss it. Would I do it again? I mean, it's a time commitment to do it right. But anyway, the toboggan run, yeah. So Jeff, we were at this. It was in winter, and we did a Toys for.
Hey, Jeff was there.
Yeah, I was.
Oh, that's right.
You
were there. That's right. You were there. That's right.
I would make the trip. Like, it was worth it. That was the most fun user group. I mean, it was really. You started with the venues. You guys had amazing venues, but every time that I was there and presented, there was they were well attended. People were engaged, and there was a lot of great information. That was. I think I was at one at an aquarium or something.
Yeah, we did one at an aquarium. That's right. Yeah. But on the toboggan run, they said keep your hands and feet in. But what I didn't realize was how easy it was to break those rules, and in a split second that you just made a wrong decision. And so I had these really thick gloves on, and it was literally just like that. And I get to the bottom, and my finger's bleeding, and it went right through the glove, and I swear it hit bone. But so we got it wrapped up. First aid kit was on site, and back to the hill we went. So yeah, no, those were fun times.
Yeah, that was the first time I smelt burnt skin. But anyway,
yeah.
Well, what we do for the users, right? And,
that's right. That's right.
But I do have a question about the user groups, because we're big on because when I came over and trying to learn it, Tom pointed me to, hey, you should go to the user groups and you go learn it much quicker. And and I did. It started resonating more, but. I would see people there, and I kind of asked, so do you have a training program at your company? Yeah, and I would get this deer in the headlight look, like a training program for our users, and so I was just kind of wondering if you've incorporated something at Caplugs, or anything you would recommend to companies out there that have been maybe running it not so long, that are looking to get more out of their system.
Well, I mean, we're a lean team. So we don't have a dedicated training resource, it's, now, and I'm an IT guy. Documentation is not a strong suit, do I think there's value in that? I do. But I feel like I can't emphasize enough that it's, you got to be all in. I would recommend a dedicated resource, because the way the versions change, the way your processes evolve, this is the second you have something formal in place, 30 days later, it's outdated. So we haven't cracked the code on that. It's typically the power user in the department becomes sort of that mentor during an employee onboarding process. And then it's, then they're in the environment, sleeves are rolled up. Now the Q&A that comes out of that is we do a good job. I think we do a good job of any support tickets or QA that comes out of new employees, that we have a process in place to be very responsive and either help them or assign someone in that kind of mentor role. But hey, if you got the resources and the time to have a dedicated trainer or even a department on that, I mean, I like the idea. It's a great one.
Yeah, I would add to that one of the benefits that comes out of the user group is just a way to just another conduit, I guess, to learn. And sometimes if it's if you have to attend, if you're, in a supporting role or not. It's just the idea that you get exposure to the latest version and what's going on outside of, as you referred to, your bubble, I think is really valuable. I don't know I can't even think of a single time in the 14 years that I've been at Innovia that a customer has come up to us and asked about, some new functionality that is, in the next release of NAV or BC. It's, we're always through different methods like the podcast or webinars, et cetera, trying to expose our customers to the latest and greatest. But I think that's one of the benefits of being in the user group community is that there are usually other partners like us and other ISVs that are always bringing that to people's attention, so that the customer can actually be on the offensive about it's there's something cool that I think we might be able to use in this next version, and let's have a discussion about, is it really going to be helpful? Because a lot of the stuff, a lot of the bells and whistles that are out there are nice in theory, but you dive into the nuts and bolts of it, and it's like, well, it doesn't quite get us there. What does this mean? I think all of those conversations are important to have, but I'm also sensitive to the lean mentality. I took my daughters out for dinner on Sunday, and one of them's a marketing analyst, one of them's a supply chain analyst, and they were talking about they're 24 years old. They've been in the real world for a little over 2 years now, and they're like, we need some sort of emails filtering that can show me just emails from my boss, just emails from director level people, emails that I am mentioned in the body of the email. Because they're talking about, and they're at bigger organizations, but they're receiving 80 to 90 emails a day, whether they're just carbon copied emails, and they're just overwhelmed by it. And I think that that can happen to all of us, right, in the in this space, and being able to focus beyond that to even look towards the future of your ERP application or any other system that you've got in place just seems like a luxury that most of us don't have now.
That's a great point, because if you look at even in the Business Central world where, and this applies to the on-prem too, but in the Business Central SaaS world, twice a year you have a major update. And whether you want it or not, you're getting it. So that's another dynamic that you got to be mindful of when you embrace cloud ERP, because it's not just Microsoft, it's the other big boxes as well. But if you look at that release list or what's in there, it's overwhelming. I don't even know where to start. And so we definitely lean on Innovia for that type of expertise. But even for someone internally to sit there and interrogate that list, I mean, it's too much. So in my head, there's some things that you get, that you inherit, that you what the hell were they thinking? Why would they put this feature in here? Who are they asking? Or is it just they're in their cave and they decide, you know what? It'd be badass if we could add 10 steps to this function for our customers, and so I don't know. It's a lot to digest there in what you said, but it all resonates with me, and I mean, no one's immune to that.
And that was great timing, because Holly, Jim, and Gino are doing a webinar today on Wave 2.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah. And they did one, and so our average webinars, Jeff, what do we get, about maybe 6 to 8 people? It's over 50 who are registered for that. So it was a big number.
One of the topics I tried to get into the user group, back to the user groups, was getting some kind of Microsoft representation as to what's coming in the future. To me, that was always the carrot. One of the things I loved about just Microsoft events, or where they're a player and a participant and it could be the user group, whether it's DCI or Doug, is that you kind of get a window into what's coming. And that's always been of interest to me. And it also gives you an opportunity to have that more, FaceTime Q&A. But back to the user group point, it's it's having a session that looks ahead as to what's coming in the product pipeline, but also a chance to voice what they'd like to see. Because in some level, I felt I helped to be, now there's 1,000 conduits back to Microsoft as far as ideas and feature requests. But the user group was a great way to kind of collect these and in that power of numbers mindset, push that up to Microsoft and see where it goes. And I do say they listen. Nobody gets everything that they want, but they do listen. I mean, they are active engagers on the success of the platform. So yeah.
Well, Tony, we covered a lot of great points and comments. We appreciate that you took out time of your busy day today. Mm-hmm. And Jeff, this podcast is over.